Welcome, Tanya and Meredith, to Leaders and Legends. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for
We
having us.
appreciate you driving up a few hours and you coming a few minutes away, but still, new mom.
Away from my baby.
Yeah. So we all have things going on, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
And you two have a lot going on. So first, love to hear more a little bit about each of you and your backgrounds and what brought you to where you are now, being, business owners, athletes, and so much more. So I'd love to hear a bit more about sort of your journey from start to here.
I'm going to make you go first.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm from Kentucky and I moved here about 10, 11 years ago. I came down straight out of college for an internship, and that internship, half of it was with Tanya with Real Fitness Sarasota. So that's kind of where I started my journey with Real Fitness. And from there, I just kind of started to evolve, came on as a part-time coach after my internship, and just kind of built my way up from there into now co-owning the gym with Tanya.
Awesome.
I was originally born in Chicago, but we moved when I was 2 to Florida, Naples, Florida. So I consider myself a Floridian.
Yeah.
And went to college in St. Pete and moved back home to Naples and worked in commercial real estate and property management. My family has that business in Naples for about 7, almost 8 years. And love my family, loved working with my family, but the work itself was a little bit soul sucking and hard for me to continue to do. And luckily I walked into a CrossFit gym about 15 years ago and pretty much, the cliche saying, fell in love with it right away. And decided with family to open one. We didn't want to open one in Naples. There were already several of them there. So we actually partnered with Real Fitness Naples, that's down there, to open Real Fitness Sarasota. We have family here as well, so that's why we chose Sarasota.
Sure.
That partnership didn't end up working out, but it was all amicable and good. So we kept the name and started the gym now 12 years ago. So been through a lot in that 12 years, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So both from out of the area, and where was the beginning of fitness for each of you? What was like the first?
I would say, well, I've always had fitness in my life. I did sports, lots of different sports growing up. I think the whole idea of health and like fitness itself kind of developed in my life in high school. To get a little deep, like I went through depression and anxiety in high school, and fitness really kind of turned that all around for me.
Yeah.
So moving into college, the idea to get more into the fitness industry itself was really mainly selfish. I wanted to learn more of like, why did it help me? How did it help me? Before it eventually evolved into being able to see that happen with other people too, and keep that growing. So that was my evolution through fitness. And it started with hot yoga, and then, tried all the different things, Pure Barre. I think I did like group fitness, and then eventually got into CrossFit. And I got into CrossFit because I was personal training. And at the time, I think every personal trainer was making fun of CrossFit.
They still do.
Yeah,
Classic.
they still do, but
that's fine.
And I just had this like, I'm just going to try it anyways. And one of my college professors took us on like a field trip to go to a CrossFit class, which I thought was really cool.
That professor.
There they are, those CrossFitters over there.
Yeah. And my first experience.
It's like a safari.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
it really is.
I walked in
There's
and
the lions.
There must have been like 3 60, 50 plus year olds just like crushing it. And that was my first experience with CrossFit, was walking into this this box, probably one of the original boxes.
Did everyone have their shirt off?
No, they didn't. Not at that point.
Oh, we weren't there yet.
No, it's involved more. But yeah, I just walked in and I was like, I remember I was so grateful for water fountains because I couldn't even pick up a water bottle after my first class.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first experience with CrossFit. And that's why I decided to, at that point, I was like, whatever, I'm not going to listen to everybody else and try my internship.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had somewhat similar, but my start with fitness, I didn't play really too much any sports growing up except for basketball, but it was really my high school experience with basketball wasn't the best. And then in college, kind of like your normal, like go for a run, maybe work out, on a random day once a week or whatever. But then when I moved back home after college, working out really did become more of a consistent thing. And I was starting to really, feel the benefits of it, not only physically, but mentally. And then kind of the same as Mare in that, like feeling kind of lost in that industry that I was working in and just not really, knowing what I wanted to do. It was exercise and fitness really became a pretty important outlet for me. And so then I tried CrossFit at the suggestion, actually, one of our first original owners, Mike Poppa, he recommended that I try a CrossFit gym. So I did. And yeah, it was just right away because I was looking for something that was a little bit more motivating and something that would, push me a little bit more. And that's exactly what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That was sort of how I got sucked in
to
CrossFit. Although I should have been doing CrossFit years and years and years prior. When I was going to U Miami in my fraternity brother was always leading classes. Like, oh, we're doing CrossFit. I'm going over and I'm like, I don't know what this thing is. My fraternity brother was Noah Olson. And he was, smaller guy back then,
crazy.
but still really buff. And I'm like, this guy's crazy, super fit. And I was like too busy with all the things I was doing in college. And I totally forgot all about CrossFit until I came out back to Sarasota. I'm like, I need to get back in shape.
Yeah.
And similar to not being able to pick up a water bottle, like I was
Yeah.
wrecked.
That's interesting because Noah and Mike used to work out quite a bit if they would come over to Naples because Talena is at Real Fitness Naples. And so, there was a bit of a competitive group there about 12 years ago, right when we opened ours. Yeah. So to see the success that they have had, that Noah has had, I mean, it's really awesome. Yeah. So really that's cool. That's a cool connection.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it's more than just the sort of fitness aspects. I know you both are heavy into nutrition and different aspects of health in general. Tell me about that and how that became another part of this whole puzzle. Because you're doing the gym, but you're also doing nutrition.
Yeah. Well, I think, you really kind of have to, it's all kind of happened in a slow kind of progressive way. But I think I didn't realize until later the mental benefits that exercise, CrossFit specifically, has, and how I'm a big like metaphors and analogies person. And, CrossFit and fitness really is like this little microcosm of what life kind of is all about, So in hindsight, after, 5-6 years of doing it, I really started to realize like, these workouts, this that we're doing, it's kind of like the best parts of the human spirit. And like, when the clock starts, we're all on the same playing field, and the workout looks terrible and you're not sure if you're going to be able to do it, but you just, you take it one step at a time and you do it, you get through it, you complete it, and you feel great about doing that. And so then you continue to do that again and again and again. So it's like, building your confidence and reps, just like, figuring out how to move forward and accomplish things. And so I eventually kind of started to piece that together. And it's like, okay, well, what other part of this can help people with, building their confidence, and what other small basic part of this puzzle, is missing. And that's what we eat too, and nutrition. And obviously your nutrition has to be on point if you want to perform well, and do well in the gym. But also, so many people deal with such struggles with nutrition and feeling like food is in control of them, as opposed to them feeling like they're in control of the food.
Sure.
So that was an element then that I really wanted to add to what we were doing, because it's so important. And, if you get to a place where you feel in control of your body and what you're capable of doing, and then you're in control of the food and what you put in your body, and you're able to really kind of master these things, those are the like smallest little bricks that you can kind of start to
Sure.
stack, that then allows you, okay, now what's the next thing that I can improve, and what's the next thing? So I think that's what we're constantly trying to figure out is what can we add to this that is going to help people see their own potential? What tools can we give them that they can take and improve their lives? Not just when they look in the mirror, but when they have to go do challenging things.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the whole message is creating happiness in a sense. And CrossFit brings the physical element to it. You're exerting your energy, you're getting those endorphins. It also brings a sense of community. So you have that like, cohesive,
That's
like
a really big
habitual,
part of
like,
it.
like you feel good being in
Yeah.
in that type of environment.
Yeah.
It's lifting. And so one of the, other key elements to that is food and your nutrition, so we have like a mentality side of it. We have the physical side of it. What are we ingesting now, and what are we putting in, and how can that help benefit and bring all of those pieces together,
Tell me what it's like balancing all of this, right? So staying yourself personally healthy and accountable to yourself, but also running multiple businesses, including families. Like, what's that like as business owners?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very different for me
spouses,
now.
things
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Mare is starting to experience what I started to experience, 11 years ago. My son's 11. My daughter's 6. And I also live in a different city. So, I'm kind of an absentee owner, trying to figure that out. It's definitely challenging, but I don't really feel that I have to balance myself and then also balance, like clients and members too. It's kind of like it's like lead by example. If I balance myself and we practice what we preach, we are doing what we are trying to teach our members or our clients to do, then, that example should also help them do what they need to do. As far as, time management, and I mean, every day we talk about a lot, like we both feel like, what's up, what's down, like what, whatever.
Yeah, but I also think that we both love working, and there's
love
no
what we do.
clock for us really.
Right.
Sure.
So, like that's just a passion, and it's not like, it's not a 9-to-5 job for us. So we wake up, and if we talk about work the first thing in the morning, like it doesn't upset us. It's a part of our life in general too, which I think can help us figure out that balance a little bit because it's just integrated.
Yeah. That's what I love about business ownership. I was just talking to somebody else about this earlier. They opened a new business in town and they're like, we work a lot, but we don't really care. It wasn't like before when I worked in a corporate job, and the same for me, right? You don't really look at it as like, oh, I got to do this. I'm just doing it because I am actively engaged and I want to do it.
Right. Yeah. And it's a combination of things. Like obviously it's a lot of hard work, but there's a little bit of luck involved too in that. Like I was beyond fortunate and lucky when Mare walked in the door. And actually when Mare started, my son was only 1 year old. So I was very, in that, like kind of where she is now. And so I was very focused on that. And Mike and Chris, other owners at the time, sent me her resume and said she wanted to do an internship. And I was like, okay, well, great. Like, great. We could use the help,
please.
So let's, and that was nothing but luck, and she, the thing about Mare is when she's committed to something, she's all in, and she, over time and over the years, just committed herself completely to learning how to do everything, and just became a really integral part of the business. But what is very unique is our working relationship. and the way we communicate, we're able to be, you know, business is business. And then we're also very close, you know, friend wise, and support each other. And we're there for each other. And when you know, if something's going on, I can text her and be like, hey, my brain doesn't work today.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, okay, got it. I got it. And then vice versa.
Yeah.
And it is a very special, I just like, that's just something that I don't know how to tell people to replicate that. We just have a very special relationship that I'm very grateful for. And it is a big part of why the gym still exists and why it works.
Yeah.
So
it's, I really believe that the more effort you put in because you're purpose driven and you care and you're there for the right reasons, the more you're going to attract those people in your life. So may have been luck, may have been
you're right.
attracting
That's
the right person who is also attracted to those things, right? It's like, and I believe that. And sometimes you remind yourself of that because you're like, oh, it's not working out right now. But if I just keep focused on my mission and my purpose, good things are going to come to us, you know?
Well, I definitely think that's true. And when you're running a business, and especially a, you know, a customer service, which is what, we're a gym, but you know, membership base and that thing.
Sure.
Your culture, your community starts from the top 100%. And you know, a lot of people have heard that, but I 100% believe that. And we're very cognizant of that. So, you know, and then also, we have some really incredible coaches. We have a really incredible team, and we have really incredible members too. And we don't treat it like, well, it's ours and we're the owners. We always refer to all the coaches, and we're a team. It's not, well, that, you know, this is our staff and our employees. Like, no, we are a team. We're all in this together. And over time, it has evolved to where the members really they take such pride and really ownership in the facility as well.
Yeah.
And that was definitely something that, you know, I learned things about not, you know, trying to control everything, not trying to do everything by myself, that facilitated that and allowed pretty much everybody that's involved in our business to be part of it.
Yeah.
So
something I try to convey to people who don't understand CrossFit, and I've done other forms of fitness, you know, like I've gone to traditional gyms, I've gone to group fitness. There's a very different sense of community and accountability and friendship. I mean, some of my best friends have come from starting a CrossFit. I went to a wedding in Argentina with one of them, right? So that would not have happened if I had not met in that way. And it's just a different community, right? It's just such a unique animal.
I think just anything in that group, not like in an in-person group fitness type of community. And obviously CrossFit has its special place. And it portrays quite a bit as far as like in the health industry itself, and its style of fitness in general, which is where I think it excels a lot. Yeah.
And I think too, people see videos and, you know, they see like the forever argument of like kipping pull-ups are not pull-ups. Well, okay. You know, like if you're, like, right. And like all these the new stuff where it's like people are doing, there definitely are some.
One of them.
And each, the beauty of CrossFit too is each affiliate is different. And, you know, there's some that aren't, maybe, I don't know which ones, but you know, programming or whatever isn't the best. But if you're hyper focusing on it, that's not what it's about. Yes, the programming, the coaching, all of that is important. And we place a lot of value on that. We really want our coaches to continue their education. We you know, contribute to that, support that. But the beauty of it really is like you found your tribe really, and you are a part of something. And that again, like human experience, the, you know, human spirit, like we all want to be part of something. And so that is what Real Fitness was really founded on. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to open a CrossFit gym and it's going to be a cash cow. Like, that's not, it was founded on
fitness. Gyms really.
No. Well, we thought, well, maybe we will make a lot of money, and that's not really how that works. But it was really founded on, you know, community and creating a tribe. And that was, has always been something that at first before Mayor was on, and then we have placed so much value on, because that'll make or break you, especially as a CrossFit gym. If you have issues within your community or too much cliquey stuff and things like that.
Sure.
So that's always been super, super important. And it took a long time for me to feel like, okay, we've got this. And it was when we moved locations, and I actually have a picture.
Uh-oh.
I'm like driving up and I'm like, don't cry. Just don't cry. But I have a picture of when we moved spaces and all of the members are around the truck. Yeah, I can't.
I think it's just the fact that we had so many people show up
Help
without
us.
even asking. I mean, and put in so much time and effort
And
and
work.
hours.
I don't know if you've ever moved tractor flooring.
Oh, it's horrible.
But it is
Your hands
the
are done
worst.
for like
I've moved things far
months.
less than that, and it's already a pain in the butt.
It is
so.
the worst.
You will not have fingers.
And we had,
after.
I don't know how many people just around the truck, like ready to, and sheet by sheet, and put the floor down in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and looking at it like, well, we did it. Like, we did it. This
and there was
is
so
this
much
is
hesitation too, because our facility look changed so much, you know. So there's obviously that hesitation of, are they going to like it? Like, it's so different from what everybody had, and everybody was just.
So this is interesting, and I think it's a business thought. There's culture created and a place where people pay to be part of it. Meanwhile, there are companies out there that pay people and struggle to develop a culture, right? It's like, so it's an interesting takeaway. Like, how can you build a company culture replicating just the camaraderie people can have in a environment like a gym, right? And businesses struggle with that, and the culture is such a huge piece. And you talk about the coaches too. Like, everybody treats everybody fairly equally. They care. They're there for the right reasons.
That is something I will say, this sounds maybe a little bit arrogant, but I've never really struggled with that, because I feel like from the beginning, if you walk in the door and you want to work here, and you have a work ethic, and you want to put the time in, I will treat you with respect, and vice versa, and I will not micromanage you. And we don't, and now Mayor too, with the same principles, we don't micromanage them. Another big part of what Real Fitness is all about, and for the team too, is empowerment and opportunity. Those are the two, I would say, if I had to choose two words to describe it. And so I try to make it very clear when someone comes on that you're now part of a family. I will always treat you with the same respect that I treat Mayor with, that I treat everyone I meet with. Doesn't matter how much education you have yet with coaching or all of that. I have trust in you that, I'm not here a lot. So I trust that you're going to do what, your job description is. And I'm going to put that faith in you, and try to just make sure that they know that they have every opportunity to build themselves and whatever they want to build within the gym as well. Every coach has the okay to create a program if they want to, or to add to the community and what we offer. So treating the team like we're all equal and we all have something to contribute, and this is just as much yours as it is mine, is how I've always done it, how Mayor does it as well. And I think that has made a big difference.
I feel like, to go off of what Tanya just said, I'm kind of a perfect example of that, because that sounds arrogant, but it's I'm not, I'm going to make it so it's not. But it's a compliment to Tanya because of the opportunity. Like,
she's arrogant, so now you're
when
arrogant.
when I came to her to say, like, hey, I want to do this, and there was never the no. It was, okay, let me let me see how we can make that work or how we could make that happen. And that's honestly how I got to where I am. And that was starting from an intern,
Sure.
you know? So that's a perfect example of the opportunity and the patience that Tanya has with everybody at the gym, right? And I think as far as the community goes, with being able to create that camaraderie, CrossFit offers, or at least what I feel like at Real Fitness, is we kind of meet you where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that walks into the gym, you know, there's a sense of feeling like you have a place and you don't feel out of it. And I think that just continues to evolve the trust at the gym, which
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
obviously a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, and
Yeah.
two, though, at the same time, as soon as you start to feel like something is happening or maybe someone is starting to affect that culture and that community, and I don't want to use the word vibe, but there it is. The vibe.
Oh no.
You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta cut it
Gotta
quick.
correct.
And I've definitely had to make some tough decisions and have
Yeah.
some really uncomfortable conversations, and even ask, a couple members to leave. And, in 12 years, you're going to have
Yeah.
Sure.
a little bit of that. But once you create that, like, you have to protect it with everything
Yeah.
you have,
Yeah.
because it'll spread quick.
Have to
The
create
negative
the-
and
create
it'll
culture,
spread
create the
quick.
trust.
And
Oh, it
you've
really
gotta,
will.
you've
Just
gotta,
one or two will just kind
oh
of
yeah, you gotta
unravel.
course correct
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it seems inauthentic. It's like, oh, it's not. Is it superficial culture, or do you actually
Right.
mean what
Yeah.
you said there?
Right.
And back
not
to, like,
acting
how
on
do
it.
you create that with the team? Well, our team knows that if you're experiencing, I don't know what it might be, like some level of disrespect somehow, it's going to be handled immediately,
Yeah.
and they put that trust and faith in you. And so then you got to
Yeah.
do it.
Just
Yeah.
the level of care.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you see as the vision, down the road for the business, or what you're building, or even just personally as you venture on this
Mm-hmm.
endeavor together?
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like comes back to, there's less movement in our everyday life, and it continues to become more and more that. And I think that comes back to, again, like a level of happiness with everybody in the world. And over and over again, over the years that I've worked at Real Fitness, you see people come in who've had minimal fitness in their entire life, or have work struggles or relationship struggles, who have lost hope that they, don't have the same type of movement that they've had. And being able to see that change just based off of everything we've talked about, that community, the CrossFit in general itself, the level of care that you see from the coaches, and the nutrition aspect of everything. And it literally it did it for me. So it's changing so many other people's lives in that way. And so I think as far as the vision, being able to continue to grow that and share that with more people within the community in person,
Yeah.
because obviously there's so much on social media, and we can scroll and we can like and we can bookmark, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of messages being put out there, but I think in person, being able to share that and being able to actually physically see that happen is so important. And it's so important for us to just keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and to be honest, for a long time with Real Fitness, it was my only goal was to survive.
Yeah.
Our previous space was very large and very expensive. And so it was
I
pretty
did
challenging.
see a post. It was about there's some struggles, and you're here, and you were surviving.
Yeah,
You're thriving.
yeah.
And
Yeah, we, when we first started, we did all the research and check the demographics and all that stuff, and did our projections and whatever. But regardless of that, rent was high and expenses were high. And then I actually ended up getting pregnant with my son. I found out, I think, like a week before we opened, that I was pregnant with my son. So I was like, well, okay, so I had planned to be there a lot more than I was able to be. So, there were just a lot of things that made it to where the goal was to survive really
Yeah.
for the first 6-7 years. And then we did some things. I got a loan, a business loan, and put it all into marketing, and things were really, really starting to fly and doing really well again. And then COVID happened. And so
everybody said that.
that was a tough time too. And so then the goal again was to survive. And that month of April when everything was shut down, the last thing we were doing was like sitting around. We were working our asses off, like trying to create a portal for the members and everything. And that wasn't to necessarily stay afloat financially, though obviously you have to make money to stay open, but it was to preserve that community.
Yeah.
How can we create something so that everybody can still, especially in this weird time, so that everybody can still talk to each other and still, have each other during this time. So then after COVID, it was pretty clear that we had honored 9 years out of a 10-year lease, and but we weren't going to make it. It was the rent was really high and things needed to change. So instead of looking at that, and of course there were days where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is horrible, whatever. But it was really, I try to look at everything like this is an opportunity. This is hard. This is not working. So, okay, what is the opportunity here to make this something else and evolve and make it work? So that was the perfect time to, okay, Mary, you've more than, earned ownership in this business. So we're going to totally change this up. And you're now an owner. We're going to change the location. We own the building that we're in now. So it allowed us to do a lot of things differently. And that was, again, through 21 surviving.
Yeah. Exciting and scary.
Yeah. And then 22 was the hurricane. And so that was a whole period of time too. And I was in Naples, and we were renting, but we lost that house that we were in, and, really mainly just lost stuff. And I remember waiting because, phones and stuff weren't working. And I remember waiting to be able to get in contact with Mayor to find out if we had this massive tree in the back.
Oh my gosh, that tree.
To find out if the tree fell that way or the other way.
If it had fallen on the
I'm
building.
thinking this whole time, like I'm already dealing with, my house, our stuff, but I'm already thinking in my head, okay, well, if the tree went over the gym's destroyed, but it's okay. We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
The more I've learned over the last few years where I've really committed to being better about fitness and health is that I think a lot of it ties back to a strong mental state, and not that you can ever maintain that, but you have to have a process to reground and recenter yourself. I didn't really realize it. It was subconscious at first, but now I sort of realize that it's in business and it's in fitness and it's in everything. What do you two do when like challenges, you've gone through them, right?
Yeah.
You have children, you have different things going on. Like the business can be rocky always, right? What's your process to combat or come through a challenge, regardless if it's in, hey, it's a workout that I thought was going to be easier than it was, or if it's a business challenge? What's sort of the process you go through to make that?
Mine is, I would say, staying present. I think it's really easy in times like that to escalate to the future and start thinking and going down this rabbit hole of all of the what ifs that you kind of miss an opportunity, like the opportunities that are right there that you can start making decisions based off of. So just breathing, breathing and staying present has been definitely
just like
my,
burpees.
For sure.
Breathe.
There's so much from yoga
or try
that
to,
I'm like, I'm coaching and I'm telling everybody, just breathe. They're like, what is air? But for me, I think yoga helped me the most with that, was literally just breathing and staying present and trying to decide what can I do right now.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, why I mean, yeah, the fear of failure is always
Mhm.
always around, right? For I
Mhm.
think anybody that starts a business or just in general. But we're both really willing to work hard at all
Mhm.
times,
Mhm.
and that kind of overcomes the fear of failure
Mhm.
because we just have that like,
Yeah.
you
The
know what,
work
we'll figure it out.
ethic.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we say it
I don't know.
constantly.
I'm not
We'll figure
really
it out.
afraid to.
We'll figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I definitely I tell people a lot like there's nothing, super special about me or unique. I just am not afraid to work and just work hard and just put the time and the effort in and like a workout, put the reps in
Yeah.
until it starts to stack up and build.
Reps.
Yeah, it really is in everything. And I think too with challenges and stuff, it's kind of like Mayor said, like be present. You cannot sit and like ruminate in the past or like, I wish this would have gone this way or this was supposed to go that way. You can't when you're sitting there doing that and stuck in what was, then you miss those opportunities and those open doors that are there right now. And you have to force yourself to take action and start taking steps forward on a different path than you maybe originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And also maybe just work through what you need to work through. Like if I
what
start
lesson
thinking
can be learned here, right?
Or like just, feel your feels.
Yeah. Like, and it's okay to take a minute.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. And the challenges that we've been through, we have absolutely communicated to each other. Like, it's okay to be, today's your day to be like bummed out about this.
Yeah.
Again, like, cool, I got it then today. Like I'll,
The benefits of calm.
Yeah, for sure. But like, it's okay to have the day where you're down about it, but then you gotta know when it's time to like, all right, we gotta get up and we gotta go.
Things about, like you said, hard work. And there's a really good graph. It's in Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
It's
a
about
great
the
book.
Layton curve, right?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be a straight line.
Yeah.
It never
it's
is.
So not.
Your results are going to be down here and then they're going to be far above where you thought you'd be. But that's almost like that restarts every time you're doing something new. It's not just like, oh,
that was
now
something
I'm
I posted
successful.
about literally the other day.
Yeah.
Was the restarting. I just posted about that because
Yes,
obviously
that.
I've just had a baby. So the idea of restarting or whatever, but the main objective was you've already started. You can't just continue to think that you're restarting all the time. It's just part of the journey of it.
How much mental strength have you built through everything you've done? You're just building off of that now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to feel a little different. Right?
Yeah. And it's, like that, the graph or whatever, it's like your line was here and then, you take that little dip, but now if you take that as like, okay, what lesson can be learned here?
Yeah.
What growth can I take from this? Then you're up a little bit higher and then maybe it dips down, but then you're up a little higher. So that's, what more can you ask for than that, in terms of progress?
That's awesome. So what's your favorite workout?
I
guess favorite movement.
It's so horrible.
No, we were supposed to be like, there's so many. Right? That's what we're supposed to say.
Can I say all of them?
Yeah.
They're the best.
I love them all. Yeah.
Well, I love Murph.
Yeah.
I mean, it has everything to do with just the grind of being there in the presence of Memorial Day for that. So definitely mine's Murph.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's yours. Heavy barbell.
Yeah, I love a heavy barbell. I was going to say Grace because also, for normal people, it's not as like for CrossFit athletes, it's like a minute and a half or less, but for the rest of us, it's still short, it's only, it's like 5 minutes or whatever, but
hours to 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we're very different, which is why I think we get along.
Yeah, we are very, but we have these like certain, areas where we're very similar, but then everything else is just like, which
She's
is
like no body weight. And here I am like,
oh no,
I
don't give me body weight. Yeah. Or gymnastics. I love Olympic lifting. I love power cleans, snatches, stuff like that.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, anything with those, if you just work them in, because Mare actually programs for me. So she knows, like, it'll just work if we'll sprinkle them in there and she'll do it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that, like, being able to do CrossFit. And then I think forcing myself to do yoga really helped being better at CrossFit.
Yeah.
And also just the complete polar opposite of mental state you're sort of in during those things. You're like all hyped up and going. And then you're like, I have to clear my mind.
Why do you think it helped you so much? roles are reversed here. I'm going to
Yeah.
actually interview you.
Focusing on mobility,
Yeah.
because mobility leads to strength and power and
Mm-hmm.
my physics expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But also being able to keep your mind clear in those times too, where you get a little bit
Mhm.
excited or
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
even upset or like, oh, I'm slowing down. I can't do this,
Yeah.
crazy thruster that I hate.
Yeah.
That's my worst. I hate that word.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
But,
know.
it's like, okay, just clear your mind, focus on just the rep, like you were saying, in the present.
Yeah.
And I think yoga makes you do that a lot,
Mhm.
if you can meditate. So,
Yeah, and that's really good. That's, I think, again, something we've learned over time. And now we're really trying to stress to members and make them understand is it's not beneficial to constantly break yourself off in these workouts and do, 2 a day really intense CrossFit workouts. You have to implement some, stuff like yoga. You have to be paying attention to your sleep. You have to be paying attention to
sleep.
recovery and all of these, other aspects of health in order to not only perform well, if you want to perform well on a CrossFit workout, but just in general. That's a really, I think, hard lesson for a lot of CrossFitters to learn.
Yeah. Do you breathe when you work out? It sounds like such a silly question, but
well, I don't. So.
Sometimes I forget.
Right.
And I'm like, am I breathing? Oh, I'm not breathing.
Yeah.
I have to breathe.
So that was
I'm
one of the
gonna die.
things that I thought was most beneficial was a crossover for me with yoga was like because when you're doing yoga, you're breathing with your movements.
Yeah.
And with CrossFit or just working out in general, like if you can't control your breathing, you're probably not controlling the movement.
Yeah.
And so I loved being able to apply that to like workouts and see how well can you maintain your breath, or when does your breath start to fade away because of intensity and you start to lose your mind.
I think
your
all
lips,
of this,
your lips turn purple.
I think all this relates to business because you can get really caught up in a lot of things in just outside of fitness, but in business mentally and forget like I'm not staying calm, not breathing.
Oh yeah.
Like, things going on. And it's allowed me to be able to be better in high stress situations where like there's a fire, this is happening, that's happening. I'm like, the world is melting. Let's just breathe through this. Let's break this down.
Right.
When you're under heavy duress, right? It's like you could train to figure out how to cope with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think forced myself to do cold plunges and CrossFit, all these things where like you're forcing yourself to be uncomfortable. So when you're in uncomfortable situations where that you did not plan to be in, right? I'm like starting a Murph.
Panic.
Yeah.
Like you're all right, I know how to handle this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like try to like scatter your brain into a million different pieces.
Control what you can control.
Yeah.
Helps
in a lot of. What would you say for somebody? Another question, but I forgot what it was. So this question for somebody who is thinking about starting a business, hasn't done it yet, or like I would like to get in better shape, eat better, all the things that people want to do and say, right? But then they have trouble executing on those things. As coaches, as business owners, as parents, what would you tell people like that, regardless of what it is? It could be business, could be fitness, could be health, could be anything, relationships.
Yeah.
Where's the starting point? Is it mental? Is it physical? What should they be doing to get going?
I think one of the first things I would, and this is a little bit tough because people are so goal oriented and it's great to, set a goal. And yes, you want to do that, set a goal of what you expect for, or what you would like to see, whether it's with a business or with your health or whatever. But don't be so attached to that outcome that you then take every little struggle as a failure, or like, oh, I'm never going to get, way over there. And really make sure that you are enjoying the process. And that is another very cliche thing that I feel like we hear a lot, but it's so, so true with business, with your health, with fitness, all of it. You really need to find, again, the opportunities or the places that you enjoy and focus on that and keep that goal and that, big picture. Sure. But just know it may not work out that way, and it's okay. It may work out an entirely different way that's even better that you really didn't realize. So just, detach a little bit from these really specific outcomes and goals. and let it enjoy it and let it happen.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a feel there's like everybody kind of wants to like, I don't think everybody kind of wants to like fill the cup with all of these things like at once. And just kind of taking a moment to look at where you are right now and what does your time look like? Like, what does your day look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of us don't realize, where are my time gaps, or do I even have time gaps? Or what when I have this goal, is my starting point too big for what
Mm-hmm.
my availability is right
Yeah.
now?
Or am I being unrealistic? Yeah.
So looking at whatever you're choosing to do, is whether it's a small or a medium or a large way to implement it, is it possible at that point in time in your life? And just being able to choose kind of which small, medium, or large aspect can you do, and then maybe grow that. Or maybe sometimes, you know, because it goes like this, you have to taper it back a little bit. And so I think just that kind of, I'm an analysis person. So like, I
Sure.
love to
Mhm.
look at just
Well,
all
and
those
yeah, and that's a
details.
big part of it too, is awareness. Awareness is like such a huge thing in everything that we do. And it's really wild how many people don't have it. But like